It's early spring in March of 2005, and I'm laying awake in bed. I've been awake most of the night, though finally it's morning, and I can see through a gap in the drapes that it's dark gray, overcast out. Though it must be around 7:30, because I can hear the sound from the gardeners outside unloading their equipment to cut the grass, which also means that it must be Thursday, because that's when the gardeners come, on Thursdays. Years prior, this would have been about the time that I was headed out the door, off to start my workday. I did network engineering and operations at the time, and I loved it. But in this day, going to work is the least of my concerns. Instead, I struggled to make my way to the edge of my bed to get to my wheelchair because it's time for me to take my morning medication. And even as I do this, I'm still in disbelief that this is my life. I mean, I never thought I'd be someone who's injured or in a wheelchair or using cane and walker to get around. Yet it's been like this for years, in and out of hospitals, seeing teams of doctors, and yet one doctor after another says there's nothing else they can do for me. I've been given a whole list of ailments, including CRPS, which is complex regional pain syndrome, along with nerve lesions, spinal end plate fractures, spondylosis, and a few other things that are painful and not fun to have. They say that CRPS is one of the most painful chronic conditions that a person can have, and I can see why. Many times I'm in so much pain that I don't want to move or even breathe. It feels like there are razors and burning coals stuck throughout my body, despite the fact that I'm on morphine every day. And since there is no cure for my condition, desperately I just start looking for anything. And I start looking at chronic illness in general to see if there's something that others have done that I could possibly use to help my situation. But instead, I find the exact opposite, that about half of the US population currently lives with one or more medical condition. And worldwide, about 1.5 billion people live with chronic pain. And I thought to myself, I felt bad for them, but I also thought, if they can't get out of that, how am I ever going to get out of this? And that's when it became very clear to me, if I really wanted to get better, I needed to do something different. And on this particular Thursday morning, I got my opportunity to do exactly that. One of the hospitals that I've been going to notifies me that they're doing a research study on a brand new procedure, and that I get to be a part of it, and I cannot believe it. I mean, this is exactly the way that I always hoped and dreamed that it would happen, that somebody would find some new cure and that I would get my life back. And so I'm just counting down the days up until this study, just elated. And of course, I'm also thinking, please don't get the placebo, please don't get the placebo, I want the real treatment. And so finally the day comes for me to go in, and so I wheel into the hospital. And as soon as I get there, the nurse, she wheels me back and she starts getting me prepped for this procedure. So she gets me in the bed and starts hooking me up to machines to monitor my vitals. And I'm laying there so excited. I can't wait to meet this doctor, start this procedure, and get my life back. And so finally the doctor, he walks in, but he's not smiling. And he looks at me and says, "Miss Gillmore, I've reviewed your file, and I'd really, really love to be able to help you. But I'm sorry, you can't be a part of this study. We don't expect you to get better." And I don't remember leaving the hospital that day. And I don't remember what happened the next few days. The next memory I do have is I'm laying awake in my bed. in my same bed, and I don't even want to open my eyes. I mean, what's the point? I can't escape this pain, and I've tried everything. Every procedure, every nerve ablation, every infusion, every injection, every prescription medication, and everything that I can find, and yet still nothing is working. And the thoughts that are going through my head are really dark. And I remember thinking, I'm pretty sure this is what it feels like to lose your mind. And I just needed some type of hope that I could get better. And I started thinking about everything that I had tried over the past couple years and the research experiment. And that's when I started to realize, in any study, there's a certain amount of people that can actually get better from just the placebo. And I realized that if I could figure out what exactly it was that made the placebo work, then there's actually still a chance that I could possibly get better. So I began to dig up everything that I could find on the placebo, how it worked, and I began to study it. But then I came across something called spontaneous remission, where people would actually go into remission and heal for no particular reason at all. That made me start studying the mind and what made this happen. And so for years, I spent researching the mind day and night, trying to figure it out, trying different things. And through trial and error, eventually began to figure out key things that I could do with my mind that would affect my pain. And so I started implementing them each day. And my pain began to subside. And so I kept going, and I was able to move around easier. And so I kept going, and my body began to heal. And so I started practicing walking every day. And at first, it was just short distances, several times per day. But I kept going, and eventually, I began to get strength back in my body. And that's when I realized that what I did with my mind didn't just change my health, it changed my entire life. From my health and my physical strength to my level of happiness, my relationships, the entire way that I saw the world changed. Now, during all of that time that I spent injured, I promised myself if I did ever get better, there would be two things that I would do. First, that I would live every day to its fullest. So after I got rid of my last cane and started walking again fully on my own, I started doing all of the things that I had always wanted to do and just taking life in and living it to its fullest and just being grateful to be alive. The second thing is I promised that if I did figure it out, I would start sharing what I did to get better, because in going through all of that, it made me realize that healthcare isn't just a me problem, it's a we problem. It affects a large amount of people, and all of us really. I mean, either personally or through family and friends or financially. So I wanted to figure out a way that people could visually see the results. That's when I reached out to Dr. Hilary Smith, who does advanced medical thermography. And she has been able to scan people while I work with them. Now, this woman has neck pain, which we can see by the intense red and white. They show intense areas of heat, which indicate pain and inflammation. The green areas represent areas that are normal temperature or healthy. So while I work with people, the scans are being taken every 1 second. And you can see as their pain goes away, the scans turn from red to green. Now, this woman was out of pain in under 5 minutes, using only her mind. And that's normal for me to see. Some people even do it as fast as 2 to 3 minutes. And it's not just pain. I see this with all types of ailments. Pain is just the quickest and easiest to be able to take pictures of, which is what led me to ask the question, could this be the missing link to our health? Now, some people would say, but Brandy, how much can the mind really affect the physical body? Well, let's think about it for a moment. Studies show that infants that don't get enough love can actually die. Or seniors whose spouse dies have a much higher rate of death following their loss. It's called the Widowhood Effect. Now, the thing is I'm not trying to give you medical advice or treat you or diagnose you or tell you to stop seeing your doctors or quit your medication or anything like that. But what I am saying is that it's really incredible what we're capable of using our minds. And the thing is, beyond infants and widows, we know that emotions can affect infants and widows to the point of death. We know that emotions can affect the body, but there are countless other studies. One that was done on stress and heart disease by Laura Kubzansky from Harvard. Her study showed that emotional vitality was able to reduce the risk of coronary heart disease by half. So we know that emotions affect the body. Even on a simple note, if somebody's embarrassed, their face can turn red. Or even a lot of stress can spike blood pressure. Or sexual thoughts create a sexual physical response. And obviously none of us would be here if it wasn't for that one, so it's got multiple benefits. Right? An easy way to remember it is just think of it as feelings with benefits. Which is like friends with benefits, but a lot less complicated. So we know that emotions affect the body. I didn't discover that. But what I did discover was how to get back-to-back results. Now, the way that I do this is I start with the awareness that different emotions affect the body differently. For example, if somebody feeling embarrassed will result different than a nervous stomach. Then I begin looking at the subconscious mind. We know that emotions store in the subconscious, which is why you could think of a beautiful song, maybe something by Adele, and you start thinking about somebody that you love and you miss. Or, depending upon the song, somebody that you don't miss, and you start thinking of all these feelings of anger or hurt. Okay, because both positive and negative emotions store up in the subconscious. So what I do when I help these people is identify the emotion and help them to release it. Now, part of the reason that I've been able to figure this out is because in going through my injury, I developed an intense sensitivity to emotions. And not just to mine, but what other people are feeling. Have you ever heard before that a dog can sense fear? Okay, so I don't really want to compare myself to a dog, but it's kind of like that. Or a more technical way of describing it would be similar to mirror touch synesthesia, which is a condition where one person can feel and experience what another person's feeling and experiencing. So whatever you want to call it, this ability has given me insight to be able to help people to use their mind to identify the specific combination of emotions that are affecting them so they can release them. Now, the thing is, I do want to warn you, there can be side effects. When people start to release these negative emotions, they tend to feel happier. And research has shown that happiness can affect every area of your life. Forbes published research that was done at Harvard that shows that happier employees are much more productive, are more creative, have higher sales, and which gives them the opportunity to make more money. Research also suggests that happier people have better relationships. So I call this process turning chronic pain into chronic gain. Because when we let go of the pain or the ailment or whatever the hurt is that's linked to it, we get more happiness into our life. And so what I'd like to do is share with you a few simple ways that you can get more of these feelings with benefits in your own life. One thing that you could do is you could just simply start to feel a feeling of gratitude for the things in your life, like being alive, the people in it, and just feel it and take it in. Or another thing that you could do is you could change your physiology, which is basically the way that you move your body, okay? Because the way that we move our body controls what we have access, what emotions we have access to. For instance, can you try to sit like this for just a moment? Okay, now try to feel sexy or confident. Anybody got it? Okay, but if you put your shoulders back, chest out, and try to feel the feeling of confidence, it's a lot easier. And that's because by changing the way that we move our body, we can access more positive emotions. Or another thing that you could do is simply start to laugh more. Or even smile. It's contagious. See? But really, I know these all sound very simple, okay? But when we start to add in more positivity, it can start to help decrease the amount of negative emotion that's been stored up in the subconscious mind, which is what I did and why I'm standing here with you today. As I'm standing here on my own 2 feet, no wheelchair, no walker, no cane, no medication, and no pain.